All right. All Rose Bowl families and everybody, thank you for joining us this morning. And really, I want to start this off by thanking you for being a part of our team. Even more now, I think I always try to do that, at least just for the commitment you make to our team and being part of our family. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to us as coaches, and just being a part of this team overall means something to us as well in terms of being a part of something bigger than just ourselves. But now I want to thank you even more for the teamwork you've shown in a very rough and hard time for everybody. We know that things are going to adjust. We know that we can't control everything, and it's going to be fluid when we don't know what's going to move. But you guys have all responded so great and with such a positive attitude, and just taking the hurdles as they come and doing the best we can with them. And from our families and our swimmers, I thank you so much for that teamwork and really understanding what it is to be a part of a team and what it is to go through rough times. We don't have any control over this necessarily, but we do have control over our actions. And I think that's what we have done. I think that's what we've taught our swimmers to do, and they've done an amazing job. And our families overall have done the exact same thing. I also want to share how extremely proud I am of our coaching staff and the job they have done to make this all work. As all of you probably have seen at this point in time, this is not easy. The way that we have to coach, the way that we have to organize the swimmers and keep everybody in control and keep everybody consistently on those procedures, it's not an easy thing for our coaches, and I am extremely proud of the job that they have done to make it all work. They are putting everything together, even regardless of the physical and mental toll it is taking in this environment. And I can honestly say that I believe this coaching staff has been the best teamwork coaching staff and coming together as a team to get things done than I've seen in my history here, and I've probably seen anywhere in terms of my coaching career. But it's been phenomenal in my mind. I think the coaches have done an awesome job of coming together, of continuing to work, of taking care of themselves when they need to take care of themselves, absolutely. But I want to thank all of the coaches. I've asked a few of them here to join me and share, just going into the season, some of the opportunities they see and the things they see that are exciting for our swimmers. But I want to thank them all. They have truly done a phenomenal job in an environment that is not easy to do so. Along those lines, I know social media, we've announced it, but we haven't done as much in terms of email or anything like that. We have exciting news that Coach Hector, right here, one of our panelists today, has been named as a semifinalist for the Fitter Faster Tour / ASCA Age Group Coach of the Year. That is a national award. Being awarded or being named as a semifinalist puts him in the top 10 in the nation. And then we know that we're all supporting him. They're going to announce it, I think, September 15th, if I have that correct, or something like that.
18th.
18th. And we're all rooting for Hector and cheering him on. So I wanted to first make sure that everybody aware of that, and then say congratulations, Hector. Awesome job throughout the year. That was based on the previous summer into last year's short course. Now I know it seems like a long way away now, but a phenomenal job of just getting better and then going into the short course season and scoring even that many more points there to put himself in the running to be Age Group Coach of the Year this year. So that's exciting, and we'll make sure that we are keeping you up to date as we go through that. So we all know this time is difficult. Any number of reasons. You can pick anything you want that makes this time challenging, but it's hard. But there are opportunities out there. And instead of me just kind of talking to the team, again, I've asked some of our coaches to come and share what they see as those opportunities and share what they see as those ability to change your focus a little bit and take advantage of this time. Yeah, it's not the same, and it's not going to be focused on results. But you know, from talking to us or listening to us at very least, we believe it's about the process anyway. So this is an opportunity to truly just engage in that process. We'll have racing opportunities, and I've shared a little bit about that along the way. But this is that opportunity in my mind, and I'm excited to hear from the coaches as well, to hear what they think as well. So to start us off with that, I'm going to start with Coach Christine. Coach Christine is technically our associate head coach by title, leading the 14 growth group. She can talk just about the opportunities she sees going forward into this season, just for the team overall. With that, Coach Christine.
Hi, everybody. So we talked about this a little bit on our Zoom dryland. We have dryland on Wednesdays, and then we will talk time to meet about various things. And what I see is right now, this is a huge opportunity. And in every difficulty, there is an opportunity. And right now, I see the biggest opportunity for our swimmers is to take more ownership of their swimming. And this is the one thing that will set them up for long-term success. Parents, if you want to teach or help encourage your kids to do anything, if you're looking forward to high school swimming or college swimming, this is where it's at. Taking ownership and taking more on yourself, okay? Not always relying on a parent or a coach to be telling you you need to go faster or you need to do this better. And it is the one thing that we see, the swimmers that go off to college and succeed, and I don't mean swim really fast, but I mean succeed, like take part in their team and contribute to their team, whatever level they choose to pursue. Those that succeed learn how to own their own sport. They learn how to do it without somebody holding their hand the whole way. So I encourage my swimmers, and I want them to learn during this time to be less reliant on the coaches and parents. We are still here to guide and help you, but you cannot wait until a coach tells you, you need to tighten up your stream length, or we need to do 2 dolphin kicks. We're not doing that. You know if you're doing that or not. Don't wait for a coach to tell you if you need to be going faster, okay? Again, taking more of that on your own. I think this is a really good time to practice and develop, because this doesn't come naturally to everyone. Practice and develop that self-discipline, the determination, and that self-motivation, okay? Again, having your parents and your coaches are there to help you, but not do it for you and not push you through the whole entire thing. And this is something that we have to practice. We have to practice that self-discipline. We don't just arrive here with it, okay? We have to practice it. We have to do things that encourage that. We have to practice that determination, learn how to develop more grit, and find that motivation. And with that motivation, we've also talked in our group about logbooks. And I actually call them instead books, your book of accountability. Okay, start a logbook. This is your book of accountability. This is where you're going to include your why. Why do you swim? Why do you swim? What do you love about this sport? Your what? What drives you? Is it your goals? What is it? What drives you? Do you just love coming in and pushing yourself so hard every day and testing those limits? And then really using your logbook to record what you're doing in practice, or anything else that you are working on improving. And I found that when I was swimming, knowing sometimes when I was in a bad practice, just having a bad day, I had to go home and write down what I was doing today in my logbook after practice. Okay, because the logbooks were a big part of my process and holding myself accountable. And sometimes that it helps to know that, okay, I have to go write this down later. What do I want to put in my logbook? You have control over that. And going back to what Coach Jeff said, we don't get to choose the events or all the events that happen in our life or the outcomes of those events, but we absolutely get to choose how we react to it. Okay? You get to choose your attitude. You choose the attitude that you show up every day with at practice. And you choose what kind of enthusiasm you bring to practice. How are you making your teammates better? You get to choose those things. And this isn't something that you have to figure out on your own. Parents, this is where you can help out, where you can encourage your swimmers to do for themselves what they can do on their own. Okay. And sometimes I know it's frustrating. It's a lot easier to shoot off an email to the coach and say, oh, my kid can't make it to practice for whatever reason. Encourage your swimmers to take that on. Okay. And that's going to be different for every age and every level. Whatever your athletes can do for themselves, encourage them to do that. Taking more ownership and continuing to take more ownership. Parents, you can help a lot at home. Okay. A lot with scheduling, with even helping your swimmers if they're willing to accept your help with goal setting. Okay. These are things that you can help them with. And your teammates are there to help you as well. Okay. Seek out the teammates that are positive, the ones that are bringing their enthusiasm and bringing their best attitude every day, because they know that it's not just about them, it's about the people that you affect around you. And reach out to your coaches as well. It's been really hard at practice with the masks. I know you can't hear some of what we're saying, and just all the different starting points. We're constantly walking around the pool deck trying to get the time to talk to all the athletes. Please reach out to your coaches. And I've had a few swimmers who've been very good at that, and they keep me on my toes and they're asking questions. Again, that's part of taking that ownership and taking things into your hands instead of waiting for somebody to guide you or push you through it.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Coach Christine. I love the books of accountability, and those things can be used even in this, even to write down the things that you hear in this talk and this kind of season kickoff, but those notes that mean something to you, but that you may forget in a day or two. Write those things down in that book so you can be reminded as you go forward of what those opportunities were. Fantastic, great kickoff. Up next, we have Coach Hector, our Director of Age Group Swimming. Obviously, I just told you, semifinalist for the Age Group Coach of the Year this year. Coach Hector is going to talk a little bit about the Age Group program. But again, all of these messages really go across the whole team. So up next, Coach Hector.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, very similar to a lot of what Coach Christina said. And obviously, this situation we're in is less than ideal. But again, we don't have control over those events or sometimes the outcomes of those events. But one thing that's been pretty obvious to me is how much we need each other. Like, it's really funny how, like, when we had to go to strictly Zoom, how I was like, man, this isn't ideal. I don't like this. But every day, I was so looking forward to that Zoom meeting. I was so looking forward to seeing every single one of my swimmers or every single swimmer that I could. And when we got back to the pool, I was even more excited to get to see everyone. And just thinking back to when I was a swimmer, my favorite part of every workout was right before. Whether it was to talk about what the set was going to be or whether it was after the sets talking about how we did, it's my favorite part of it is connecting with everyone. So I think something that I've been trying to challenge my swimmers with, the 12 and unders with, is branching out, is trying to connect with more people in the group, and not just sticking to the small circles. And I think the Zoom meetings did a pretty good job of helping us do that, is branch out, where it used to be people in the same lane would only be able to talk to those people in that lane. And now with the Zoom meetings, we've been presented with an opportunity to reach people that maybe we weren't able to talk to before because we were a little separated. So again, in every situation, there's an opportunity presented. And with that, I think one of the other opportunities that has presented itself is with the 12 and unders. Most of the time, we can get stuck on dropping or results, swim-based, right? Because 12 and unders drop almost every single meet. We get so excited about time drops and time drops and time drops. And so it becomes a thing to look at. And I've noticed that since we've gone back to the pool, we have had no one thinking about what we're going to go at the next meet. And so we've been able to take a step back and really think about how we can become better swimmers. Okay, we talk about that a lot for our 12 and unders is not how we become faster swimmers, but how we become better swimmers. Because there's two different things there. Becoming a faster swimmer could mean a lot of things. It could mean just trying harder. It could mean being taller, getting stronger, but becoming a better swimmer, that requires change, and it requires growth. And so that's something that we've really been talking about as 12 and unders. And I think that's a really good way to build longevity in the sport, and really just, you can take those lessons in life too, is becoming better at whatever you do. I took this from Coach Christine once, but she talked about how you could be better about brushing your teeth. And I say that to my swimmers all the time. I never thought of it like that, and so we use it with anything. You could become better at anything. You can become better at walking, at running, brushing your teeth. Anything in life you can become better at. So we're really taking this opportunity with the situation we're in, and we're trying to grow from it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hector. Those are great messages. I hope all of our swimmers actually are listening to that, as that stays the same as you get older as well. Up next, we have Coach Jeff, our director of of senior swimming, not age group, director of senior swimming. I've asked Coach Jeff to talk to mainly, again, focused on our high school type athletes. Again, these messages, as you can see, really go through everybody. But he's going to talk a little bit more towards the high school swimmers and kind of where they are now and going forward. So up next, Coach Jeff.
Yeah, okay, everybody said what I wanted to say, so I'm all done, thanks. No, you give me a microphone, I'm going to talk. I would like to talk about exercises and pointlessness. Somebody asked me at the beginning of this time at home, and then the subsequent, getting back in the water with our restrictions and such things. Everyone was very concerned, and is still slightly concerned about competition, right? We all want to race. That's one of the reasons we do this, is the fun and the lessons you can learn from that competition. But without that, what's the point? And someone asked me that question fairly directly when we first started doing this, and I had quite a few answers, but I want to kind of talk about it in a roundabout sort of way. And since we got 10 more minutes here, we got some time. Oh wait, Kelly has to talk too.
Yeah, talk too. Yeah.
Oh, see, perfect. We're good. Anyway, listen. It became a great analogy for me, and I really enjoy it. But there's this trend in I want to talk about mountains. There's a trend in cycling, road cycling. People have decided that it's a really good idea that they are going to do something called Everesting. And that entails, quite simply, riding a bike up the side of a hill as many times as it takes to reach 29,029 feet, or 8,600 meters. And there's all kinds of math and all kinds of, power to weight ratios and all kinds of things to think about. But in the end, you want to get up this hill as fast as you can, and you want to do it as efficiently as possible. And all you can do is make a plan and go with it. And this very famous female cyclist, she's an extraordinary athlete. She really had no interest in doing any of this, but all of a sudden the COVID world happens, and she's no longer allowed to train in groups. And riding a bike in a group is easier than riding a bike by yourself, because you have headwinds that hit you on the flats, and it's just horribly hard to do. So she decided the solution to that was to go climb a mountain. So then she started climbing more mountains, and she saw someone else do this Everest challenge, and she thinks to herself, well, that's a dumb idea, mostly because she didn't come up with it herself. But she decided that she would actually make an attempt on her own. And so she made her plan, and she started riding, and it turns out that she felt she was going to end up at the top of this mountain 3 or 4 minutes ahead of schedule and zip down a descent, because she knew the mountain and she knew how to do it. Turns out that was the day that they were making hay she lives in Switzerland. They were making hay in Switzerland, and they were driving the hay up the mountain in tractors. So she had to go around all these tractors all the time. So it became a game for her. She sees the tractors, sees another tractor. Well, then her goal became, how am I going to make this fun? And she decided she would pass as many tractors as she could, up and down. And then she gets halfway through and realizes that not only is it too hot, but she's running out of water and she's running out of food. And she doesn't know what to do. So she looks around a little bit, and she notices there's a house at the top of the mountain No one's living in it. Knocks on the door. She asks somebody if she can borrow the water. There isn't anybody there. She takes the water. And she keeps on going. And she keeps on going, and she keeps on going. And in the process of trying to do something like that, she realized that she enjoyed the suffering, and she enjoyed the endeavor, and she enjoyed the game that they had come up with called Everesting, ultimately. She didn't set out to tell anybody. She didn't have, like, she's a very famous rider. She didn't even publicize this. She sat with a friend of hers. They had 2 people on the ground and 1 person riding with her. And it was just, you know, an incredibly, I can't imagine doing this. She's pedaling up 6 kilometers at a 13% grade. That's pretty steep. The first friend that she had with her, she passed him on the 6th lap. She did 10 total laps. She passed him on the 6th lap, looked how he was feeling. He was very clearly suffering, and realized she probably looked worse. But she decided that she was just going to keep going. It was fun passing tractors. It was fun taking that break at the top of the mountain for however long it took to fill up the water bottle and get back on the bike and go. And as this progressed, she became more and more, you know, I guess philosophical about the whole thing as to why would I do this in the first place? This is a pointless activity. Cycling is silly. It has no end goal. There is no reason to do this. And for her, and I'm hoping by analogy for us, that the reason that you put yourself in these situations is simply to push yourself to your limits. There's nothing vague about that. It's not a vague hope for a result. It's not a vague moment in your training. It is ultimately selfish and pointless that you wish to push yourself into a place where everything becomes mentally simple. You're going to push yourself to the limit. And I could talk about this particular endeavor for a very long time. She gets done with the climb. She is fairly sure that after her 10th lap, she is going to fall over and die. She's hypoglycemic. She quite literally gets off her bike at the end of it, sits down at the cafe at the top of the mountain and eats a croissant, puts a new shirt on, and goes home. Doesn't tell anybody about it. She posts her results to the cycling world vaguely, and 2 days later, someone tells her that she broke the world record for Everesting, became the first person under 9 hours to get it done. And ultimately, that's kind of the point, right? For us, for our high school athletes, we spend the vast majority of our season to compete at CIF. And CIF got taken away from them this year. It's already on the schedule, guys. The CIF actually has a schedule for their competition. It's at the end of March. So there's at least the hope of that. But all of us are saying versions of the same thing. The best part about this time, and there are great parts about this time, is that we are becoming more and more focused about it. We are understanding that we can take control over the things that we wish to do, and we can get better at swimming versus getting faster at it. And subsequently, that will make us faster. And that's about all I have to say about it.
Awesome. Great story. I love it. That's perfect fit for this. All right, we have one more coach, and then our guest is here, and I'll introduce him after this. But our next coach is our lead coach for 12 Foundation. But what I've asked her to come and speak is actually something that both her and Jeff Klotz have really pushed forward and taking the lead on since quarantine, is pushing an open water group for us. We hadn't really gotten into open water much. Obviously, we have it around here, but it's not right by us, so it takes some commitment to do it. These 2 coaches have done a phenomenal job of getting our summers excited, and now we actually even have a competition coming up for them. But with that, I wanted Coach Kelly, you guys, most of you probably know, she is an open water swimmer, swam the English Channel, as you listened to her story, hopefully a few weeks back. But yeah, I wanted her to come on and just share kind of what we're doing open water wise, and just the excitement of something new for the team even during this time. So Coach Kelly.
And Coach Christine was also very much a part of that. So we could not have done it without her too. So very happy, excited to be sharing some updates with you guys about open water, what we've been doing. I have to say that the open water piece, I want to echo what Hector shared earlier about just seeing swimmers, whether at first it was on Zoom, then at the pool, and then also at the beach, has just been the absolute highlight of this entire quarantining period. I cannot really imagine having made it through the last couple of months without you guys. So as much as we give to you, I just want to thank all of you guys, and that applies for open water swimmers and our pool swimmers. I mean, it keeps us going too as coaches. I want to share an absolute highlight for me that just stands out as being by far the coolest day that I will never forget as a coach. We were at Huntington Beach. It's the one time we've been to Huntington. And after having been at Venice and been at Long Beach, where there are really clear sight lines, you've got the Santa Monica Pier to look at, all sorts of fun things to look at those beaches. At Huntington, there's nothing. And there was a lot of chop. There were a lot of animals. We had a lot of seals, a lot of dolphins. And our first group gets out of the water, and it was cold. So they were complaining, they were shivering. And our second group is watching this happen, and it was 3 girls. And I'm not going to call them out on this call, but you know who you are. And the looks on their faces, I did not think any of them were going to get in the water. They were like not having it. And it took some coaxing, and they each kind of had their own journey. But within a couple of minutes, we got all 3 of them going, and they made it out to a 500-yard buoy out at Huntington. And I had to like chase down one of them because she like just bolted into the water and was like, she was scared, but she got it done. She just put her head down, swam, didn't think about it, and got it done. I had to actually like chase her down. The other 2, I did not think were going to make it. I did not. And Jeff was there. I think he can attest to the fact that I did not think those girls were getting in the water that day, and they did. And it was the faces on the swimmers, the realization that they had accomplished something, and they put themselves through something that really scared them, and they did it, that reminded me why I coach, right? I get those reminders all the time. This isn't something like I have to wait years in between. I get constant reminders from my swimmers why I coach, but that was such a powerful one. They swam to a 500-yard buoy, and they swam back. Like if you kind of zoom out, that doesn't seem like that big of an accomplishment, but it was huge. On that day, it was huge. And that realization that they had done something that scared them, and they were able to find the courage, or maybe it was just to put on the blinders and not think about it, and they were able to get it done. And then the immediate pride that I saw in them, because they owned that. We didn't do that for them. Right? They did that for themselves. It was so powerful and so exciting. So as Jeff mentioned, we've got a competition in Las Vegas next weekend. Super excited about people who are going to be able to swim, and we're going to hopefully make sure that number is higher for the next open water competition. But I want you guys to go into that with that same mindset. You guys own this, right? You this is yours. We don't do the swimming for you. You own the accomplishment. And you get to own that and own that pride all by yourself. We are just your cheerleaders when we get to that point, and I can't wait to be in that role. Yesterday I shared with Jeff that I wanted to share some pictures from open water swimming, and then I realized that I hadn't taken any. So these are all from this morning. But it ended up being a beautiful day. A beautiful day to take some photos. It was a gorgeous morning. Clouds were crazy, and the swimmers did awesome. So there we go. That's our open water update.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kelly and Jeff and Christine, for setting that up. It's not easy to set up a new program like that and get it running as efficiently as it was this year. So thank you all for that. And coaches, thank you for your words of wisdom for our team. They were perfect, right on what we need for this. So now it's time for our special guest. I want to thank Colin Jones for coming. You saw him come on here. For those of you that don't know, Colin Jones had an outstanding national team career. And in fact, if I was to pick a word, I'd say clutch. In terms of when it came to that final meet, he always seemed to stand up and compete. You could never count him out. He was always there and competing for it. Most of you probably know he was a member of the 2008 400 free relay team, of which, of course, earned that gold medal in Beijing. But then he went on to 2012 and got a gold medal in the 400 medley relay, silver in the 400 freestyle relay, and then coming through again, clutch swim with that silver medal in the 50 freestyle individually. Fantastic racer all the way through his career. Now, I also appreciate he has dedicated a lot of his time to the USA Swimming Foundation and help and advocate for Learn to Swim programs across the nation because of his own story of a near-death experience as a child. So it is with all sorts of respect and honor that I'm happy to welcome Colin Jones here to share with us his story and just some words of inspiration that he wants to share. So Colin, thank you for joining us.
Jeff, thanks for having me. So this is not the team to talk bad about Jason Lezak, huh? Okay, I guess I'll be nice. I'll be nice this time. Rose Bowl, thank you for having me. This is uncertain times. I know we are all frustrated with what's going on. Even as a retired swimmer, I still coach and swim myself. I'm not saying I'm going to do masters, but I might do masters. I've been getting pulled in the direction of like, listen, if you're not going to go for 2021, at least swim masters. So I still love the sport. I still love what I'm doing. So I probably will be still in swimming a lot longer than I even expected. But sorry if you hear some yelling. That is my 13-month-old child screaming and my wife trying to keep up with him because he's walking now. So as Jeff said, he asked me to talk about something that I think is so timely, which is uncertainty. And I hope with listening, of course, I would love to be in front of you. Of course, I would love to hop on a plane, sit in front of you. Let's do a clinic. Let's work through some of the things that, I know Jason has done. I know Jason has shown me things that I've done that has been successful in my career. But we can't do that. And because of these uncertain times, this is the best thing that we can do. So please enjoy my story, laugh at my pain, because that's what this is about. It's about learning so that what I went through, you don't have to. Goggles pop have too. So just pay attention to a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about because this is real life. I don't make up things and I never do the same speech twice. I don't want to be bored. I don't want you to be bored. So I'm going to speak for a little while and then please, I know we talked about doing some questions. So please put it down there in the chat. So let me talk about me growing up. I know for most parents, they get their kids into swimming because they want to get their child to learn how to swim. Most of you swimmers are probably, when you think back to how you got into swimming, you were like, well, yeah, my guardian, dropped me off and was like, hey, go swim, go learn. And that's not how I grew up and how I learned. I grew up in the city. I was born in New York, grew up in New Jersey. Wasn't the greatest area, but I love the water. And my mom would put me into a tub and I would have my toys in there and I would be like pruny. I'd be in there for hours and she would have to fight to get me out. So she knew I loved the water. Well, she said, we're going to go to an amusement park, water rides galore. I'm like, yes, I want to do that. Let's do it. And I go, and I think what's important about this story is that my mom didn't know how to swim. My dad kind of knew how to swim, but it seems like it wouldn't be a bad idea given there's lifeguards everywhere. So my dad, 6'4", yes, I'm 6'5", that's right, I beat him, wanted to get on the biggest ride there. He's like, yes, this big one. And I'm like, that one? He's like, yeah, that one. All right, cool, let's do it. So we wait an hour to get to the top of this ride. And the whole time my mom's like, this is a bad idea. Because I was 5 and I was a tall 5. So I met the height limit, but I was very skinny, guys, very, very skinny. And so my mom's like, he doesn't know how to swim. He hasn't had lessons. This is a bad idea. And she's like, has her fear because she doesn't know how to swim. And she's nervous about that for me. Well, she was right, of course, because moms are usually right. My dad goes down the ride. I come after him. He doesn't see me. And I hit the pool of water. Now, like I said, there were lifeguards there. My parents were there. I wasn't horse playing. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. But my dad told me, whatever you do, don't let go of the inner tube. So when he was handing the inner tube to the next person, I came out of the slide, flipped upside down, held onto the inner tube underwater because I didn't know what else to do. And I was trying to pull myself up and I couldn't get myself up. And my mom, for all those, I know I see there's about 94 participants. Some of you guys are only children. And I want to just say it now. You're spoiled, you're spoiled, you're spoiled, you're spoiled. And so was I. So as an only child, I went down this ride. My mom heard her only child, her spoiled little brat, boom, nothing. So she grew superhuman strength, shot down this ride. They said they'd never seen anyone go down this ride this fast. She hits the pool of water. She can't swim either. So then my dad had to get my mom. The lifeguard had to come get me. I had to be resuscitated. Family didn't look good. We did not look good. So this is why I'm a big advocate for learning to swim. When I came to, after being resuscitated, my first words out of my mouth were, "What's the next ride we're getting on?" Because I was 5 and it didn't matter. I was at an amusement park. I was excited. But my mom said, "Never again." She got me into swim lessons. And it took me 5 different teachers before I started feeling comfortable around water. At the age of 8, I saw my first swim meet. And I was like, "Oh, I could be him. I could be him. I could be him." See, my dad was a basketball player and wanted me to be a basketball player. And the thing I loved about basketball was, well, it was basketball. I love basketball. I was just drawn to it. But the one thing I hated about basketball was if I was giving all of my energy and all of my talent and all of this practice, and there were 3 other guys that didn't want to play hard, we would lose games. And I hated that. You know what I loved about swimming? Whatever work I put into it, I immediately saw it. When I was behind the blocks, if I didn't do a flip turn right, that was my fault. I got to do that better next time. So I got really competitive. I was like, "Oh, I could be him. I could be him. I could be him." And I went to my first swim practice. My mom's like, "All right, if you're going to do this, and I'm putting money towards it, you're not going to go to one practice and then quit. You're going to at least a year of this." I was like, "All right, fine. I want to do this. I want to do this." I go to my first practice. The coach says, "All right, kid." And I was sitting there strutting. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've got this. I can beat everybody. Get behind the block. Take your mark. Go. 50 freestyle." I dove in, swinging my arms, trying to go. The other swimmers were done, and I hadn't finished half a lap. See, I was not naturally gifted at swimming. Michael Phelps, I had to work hard to get better at swimming. It was hard for me. So that's what I loved about it and I hated about it. I didn't float. I wasn't good at it. But my coach kept saying to me, "You can get better. Don't worry about it. You can get better." And the more and more I practiced, the better and better I got at it. And I loved it. It was about at the age of 15 years old. I grew up on a very diverse team. We had everything from Asian American, Indian American, Black American, Latin American, Caucasian. We had everybody on our team. But the only time that I really felt different was when I went to swim meets. And I realized that I was the only Black swimmer at these meets. And so it never really bothered me because I was a part of that team and I felt comfortable with my team and those were my friends. But when I was 15 years old, I switched teams to a JCC, which is a Jewish community center. And then I was on the team and I was the only Black swimmer on the team. And I remember vividly, I was not getting, like I told you, I wasn't really good at swimming. I was 15 years old. I was getting the pink and the purple ribbon. Some of you guys know what that is. That's 6th and 7th place. That's what I was getting. So it took me a while. I'm telling you guys, it took me a while to get better at swimming. And I remember when I was about 15 years old, I finally beat this one guy. I always say his name because I know that at some point someone's going to tell him, and he's a very big part of my life. This kid, Gary Grant, just kept beating me, touching me out in the 50 freestyle every single time. And I kept going to my mom. I was like, "Mom, what do I do?" And she's like, "You got to do 3 things. For one, I am not a coach. I am not a swimmer, but I know you can do it if you do these 3 things. You can beat him." I said, "All right, well, what is it?" She goes, "Number 1, you have to go to practice. Make sure you go to practice because I can't teach you. Your dad, he's an okay swimmer, but you're at this level. You've got to go to every practice." And I was tired. It was high school. I wanted to hang out with my friends. So sometimes I wasn't as focused as I needed to be. So, all right, fine. I'll go to practice. Number 2, you got to stop cutting up. You got to stop being the person that's the loudest person in the lane and the coach is always calling me and I'm tired of you getting in trouble. It's like, "All right, Mom, fine. Sure. I'll stop with the horseplay and all that stuff." Number 3, you got to eat Brussels sprouts. Excuse me? What was that? Hold up. What was that last one? I hated Brussels sprouts as a kid. Hated them. And she said, "Well, sometimes you have to do what you don't like to be the best." And I was like, I don't want to eat Brussels sprouts. She said, "Whatever you put into your body, ultimately determines how fast you'll swim. Let me say that again. What you put into your body will ultimately dictate how fast you swim. There's someone in this 92 people. See, I've already lost 2 people because they were eating chicken nuggets and they're mad that I said that. But listen, I like chicken nuggets. I like pizza. But you know what? If I want to be the best, or at least beat Gary Grant, I got to do what I got to do to be the best. So for a year, I didn't miss practice. I stopped getting in trouble because I was always one cracking jokes. And I ate a lot of Brussels sprouts. And after a year, I finally won. And I hit the wall. I jumped up. You would have thought I won the Olympics. I was like, yes, I did it. I went up to my dad. I was like, I did it. I don't even want to play basketball anymore. I want to swim. And I just started, and that was his dreams of me being a basketball player, because swimming was it for me. I loved it. Going into high school, I actually wrote this. I have notes here that I want to talk to you about because Jeff told me to talk about, Coach Jeff, sorry, told me to talk about uncertainty. I have literally uncertainty and the most embarrassing moment of your career. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to tell you the most embarrassing moment because I know it's going to be a question. I was 17 years old, going towards college, and I was being scouted by UNC, North Carolina State, mainly ACC teams, East Coast teams. My dad passed when I was 16, and so I told my mom I wouldn't go too far. I was going to stay East Coast. Although my hope would have been to be to Cal Berkeley, but I was not fast enough. Or Auburn, I was not fast enough. They were not paying attention to me. But I just broke 21. I was at 20.99, just good enough to make Division I. And I was looking at some of these ACC teams. I'm at my meet. It's the last meet of my season for high school. And all of the scouts are up on the bleachers, and I'm really focused. I'm nervous. And you guys don't know about this, but because this is way older, both Jeffs and Kelly probably know this one. My coach throws me a suit. It's a paper suit. And so the suit is super thin. Like, guys, like when we say paper, I mean like it is literally that thin, right? So it's super thin. And I had never worn a suit like this before. I always just wore the briefs, and my coach throws it to me and he's like, Cullen, you're going to break 20.5 today. And you're going to show these people that you can do it. Like, my coach is talking to me. I'm jazzed up. I'm excited. He throws me the suit. I put the suit on, ready to go. Okay. Got my shirt on. He's like, all right, let's get ready. You got this? I got this. He's like, all right, let me zip you up. I was like, what do you mean? I took my shirt off and zipped up the front. And he goes, Cullen, the zipper goes in the back. What? I had put the suit on backwards and inside out because I was so nervous because these coaches were there. And I didn't have enough time to go change. So I was like, Coach, what? He goes, Cullen, it doesn't matter. Go out there and swim. My coach is laughing at me. And I get behind the block. I take my mark. And as I take my mark, the middle of the suit rips. Go, pow. I jump off. My butt's out. I hit the water. The suit balloons up. My goggles pop. I swim the 50 free. I said, I don't care. I'm still going. I'm still going. I went a 22.5. I got to the wall. I looked up. My coach is red, beet red from laughing. I look up in the stands. All of the scouts are hysterically laughing at me. And I got 8. I was upset because at that moment, if I just wore what I was used to, I would have been all right. Did I mess up everything? My coach, I'm like, give me a towel. He goes, no, get out. You're fine. Don't worry. I grab the suit, get my towel, run into the bathroom. I go up to my mom. My mom thought it was less funny, but was still laughing. And some of the coaches said that was the most embarrassing, funny thing I've ever seen. I would love for you to swim for my team. And just so that you guys understand, sometimes, a lot of times, it doesn't go exactly as you plan. But the most important thing that you do is you always power through. I could have dove in and said, nope, Done. I'm out. But what I showed those coaches, and even my own coach, who was probably still laughing right now, I didn't give up. And I fought through it. And that is a huge, huge piece to, I think, the rest of my career. I went into college. People didn't expect me to do what I was able to do. I ended up winning NCAA's my senior year in the 50 freestyle, which hadn't been done since David Fox in 92, 13 years earlier. So I was overjoyed. But at this point, I had a coach for the first time say to me, "You can make the Olympic team." I was 21 years old when a coach told me that I could do that. And at that moment, I just swum NCAA's and I wanted to continue in the sport of swimming, but I just didn't know how I was going to do it. My coach was like, "You got to get an agent." And I was like, "Well, you got to meet next week in China at World Short Course to represent Team USA. The best thing you can do is race as fast as you possibly can." I go to the meet in China, second time going outside to be part of Team USA. I get second in the 50 freestyle. And because I didn't get first, I thought my hopes of being a professional swimmer were completely over. And I put my head down and I was walking. And then again, that moment of uncertainty and upset, because I just like, if I won this, I would be signed by somebody. I could be a professional athlete. I could do these things. And at that moment, someone screams from the top row over me. And I look up, and this guy, he goes, "We don't hang our heads at Nike." And he threw me his card. "Give me a call." And I looked to the left, and he goes, "We don't either." And he threw me his card, and it said Speedo. And at that moment, I knew that being a professional athlete wasn't always about necessarily getting first, but it was fighting through, no matter what I was going through, to make sure that I was being a better part for the team, necessarily not always for myself. The next week, now I told you NCAA's, now I was in China. The next week, my coach is like, "You know what? We're going to come back. We're going to swim Ultra Swim, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina." I literally did not get to go home. I flew straight to Charlotte. I'm exhausted. This is my third meet in 3 weeks. And I get there, I swim the 50 free, win the 50 free, very excited. And then they have the 100 free on the last day. And I race the 100 free in the morning and I get second. And I'm like, "All right, well, it's cool. Well, can I go home now, coach? Like, this isn't like NCAA's. This isn't, world championships where I'm representing Team USA. This is just a small meet." And he said, "No, Cullen, you need to swim fast tonight. Yes, you swam well in the morning, but you need to swim fast tonight. Other teams were leaving." And I'm like, "God, coach, why?" He's like, "Because you need every opportunity to show all of these people what you've got in the tank." Fine. I go to finals. Sunday night, after 3 weeks of straight racing. And I'm in a very, very stacked race. As I'm getting ready, thunderstorms start. We delay the meet 2 hours. So now it's 10 o'clock at night and I have to race this 100 free. It's the last event. There's only a couple of people that are in the stands. And I'm standing there, Ryan Lochte, Matt Grievers, 3 other people. And in my head, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm so tired. I just don't feel like swimming. I want to go home. It's been 3 weeks. I'm just so tired. This isn't even that big a deal. And I look to my right, and there's a guy who's been to the Olympics twice. And he's got this face that there's no way I can lose. And his name is Michael Phelps. And I look at him, and although all of those negative things were in my head, I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I want to go home. I just want to go home." I look at this kid who's a year younger than me, and he doesn't think he can lose to me. Disrespectful? Excuse me. Wait a minute. Oh, you think you're good? Okay. All those negative thoughts, boom, right out of my head. At that moment, I'm kicking his butt. I don't care who he is. I don't care he's been to the Olympics. I don't care how many of these gold medals he has. I'm beating him. Step up, 10 o'clock at night. Take your mark, go. Boom, take off. I'm swimming. And I didn't realize that I was taking it out like a 50. Bad idea. I come in, wham, hit my feet on the wall. Boom, I'm outside. I'm ahead of him. I know my feet hit the wall. And then I'm 2 strokes, boom, boom, I'm going. And all I see underwater is, first off, how are you staying underwater still? And I'm on my 4th stroke. Secondly, how are you getting past me and I'm at top speed? Boom, he pops up out. He's a stroke ahead of me. And I'm like, no, 50 freestyle, go. Bam, 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 bam. I'm swimming as fast as I can. I hit the wall and I look up. I know you guys are expecting me to say I won. I didn't. I got second. He beat me. But it's okay. He did beat me. It's Michael Phelps, so it's all right. And I look at him and I'm like, I'm mad at myself because he said, you could see in his face he knew he was going to win. I'm like, and the thing that he said to me next changed my entire life. He said, that was an awesome swim. You made me work my tail off for that. Finally, we have our 4th guy for the 4x100 relay. Me? Yeah, you. I'm like, wow. And I look up at the time, and after 3 weeks of training, I'm so tired. I went a 48.6. And I'm like, I didn't even know I had that in me. I'm so tired. I've been jet lagged. I've done all these things. If I didn't swim that race, I don't know what. I went back and I trained so hard. That summer, I set the world record. It was Neil Walker, Jason Lezak, myself, and Michael. And we set the world record. And going into 2008, I was one of the premier sprinters going into that meet. I went and swam the 50 freestyle. I didn't get it. I got 3rd. I got touched out, but I made it in the 100 freestyle. And the whole time, what's ringing in my head is, you can be the 4x100 relay. I made it for the relay, but the only way I was going to make it for that night relay is if I was one of the top 4. Now, Jason Lezak, Garrett Weber-Gale, and Michael Phelps were already on the night relay. There was only 1 spot left. And I had to beat people like Nathan Adrian, Matt Grievers, Ben Wildman Tobriner, and then it was just me. Going into that prelims, I looked at my coach. I looked at Eddie Reese, well-known coach of Texas. Everyone knows him, multiple Olympic coach. I look at him and I'm like, how do I get on this relay at night? And he said, you got to beat everybody else. I'm not showing any favoritism. It's whoever swims the fastest. I said, okay. So I swim prelims. Nathan goes first. I think it was probably the first time Nathan's ever gone first in a relay. He always goes last, but this was the first that he went first. And then Ben went, and then it was me. Dove off the block, boom. I swam as fast as I could. Don't ask me what I was thinking. I don't know. I got out of the pool. I looked. Matt Grievers is trucking. We are well into first place. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking like he's going real fast. Plus, he's like 8'1". He's so tall. He touches the wall, and I look up, and we set the world record in prelims. Now, the coaches told us, just make sure you don't get disqualified. We just want to make sure that we get the best lane, because the French team said that they're there to crush the Americans. Don't mess up. He touches the wall. We get a world record. I look at Eddie Reese and I say, Coach, lay it on me. Michael Phelps is going for 8 gold medals. The French team is talking smack, saying that they're there to crush the Americans, and there's only 1 spot left. What's the times? He said, Matt Grievers, 47.67. Colin Jones, 47.66. I made the night relay by 1/100th of a second. And I sat there and I said, yes, I made the relay. Oh man, I made the relay. And at that moment, all of that pressure hit me, because all of those things just started thinking in my head. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is, you're on the relay. You got to swim fast. You're on with Michael. You're on with Jason. Garrett. We got to win. The French team, they've got the world record holder and the second fastest 100 freestyler. Oh my God. All of these things hit me. Because everything was backwards, our prelims were at night and our finals were in the morning. So I go back to my dorm. Do you guys think I slept? No. 1 o'clock in the morning, I hear bang, 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 bang at the door. I open the door and it's Michael. I'm like, Mike, man, it's 1 o'clock. We got the biggest race tomorrow. I can't be the one that messes up this relay. We got to win. And he's like, Cullen, shut up. I'm like, what? And he goes, all the NBA guys are downstairs. They want to wish us good luck. What? I run down the stair. I kick Lochte because he's my roommate for life. I kick him. I'm like, Ryan, all the NBA guys are downstairs. He's like, what? Ah! We all run downstairs. Kobe, LeBron, D Wade, Carlos Boozer, Carmelo Anthony. They're all sitting there waiting for the 4x100 relay to come out and to wish us good luck. And I'm shaking everybody's hand. And I'm just like, oh my God, my dad wanted me to be a basketball player. I couldn't have been you. But like, you know what? It could have been close. But I'm like, wow, like you're shaking hands. And it got real quiet. And then the only person that said anything was LeBron. And everyone was staring at me. And I just looked at him and I was like, what? And he goes, oh snap, there's a black dude on the swim team. And everyone busts out laughing. It was one of the funniest moments of my life because I felt at that moment, not only were these guys huge stars in the US, of course, but they looked at me as an equal, as an athlete. And it a very, very special moment of me understanding me being a black person on the swim team meant more than just my goals. It was something that they recognized as well. The next day went off without a hitch. We got behind the block. I looked at Eddie Reese. I said, what do I got to do to win? He goes, don't mess up. I don't know. I think I expected more from a coach to tell me how to win, but he said, don't mess up. We got behind the blocks. And to this day, I call that man Superman. Jason Lezak goes a 46-0. And we set a world record that still stands today. And I was able to bring home this. I still get chills telling that story. It's something that is amazing to me that we had the current president at the time there. Not current president at the time. The president at the time was there. All the NBA guys came to watch us, and we were able to pull out that win. And I couldn't have done it without the teammates. I swam a 47.6 again. It was the fastest time I had ever done. I was proud of myself, but still felt like I needed to do more. The uncertainty level was huge, but at the same time, I had to stand up. I had to be bigger for my team. I know you guys right now are going through a lot. It's hard right now not knowing when you're going to have meets, when you're going to have practices, how many are in your lane. But it's so important that you fight through. I talked to a bunch of the national teamers now, and I've asked them, like, what are you guys thinking about? And the one thing that I can take away from them and give to you is that when it comes to hurdles in life, it depends on your perspective of them. You can make them really big, or you can make them really small. You can make them not having an Olympics, or you can have them, your goggles popped, and you just got to get up and swim. So which one are you going to pick? I hope it's my goggles popped, but I can still finish this race. So thank you guys for listening. Let's open up for questions if you have some. I know I just like crushed time. Sorry.
No, that was perfect. That was amazing. Thank you, Colin. Thank you for sharing all that. Yeah, everybody, there is the questions part there. If you can throw them in, they're starting to come. I do have one for you to start while we wait for some to come in.
Yeah, of course.
Excuse me. Coach Jeff has talked a little bit about just growing up as a minority in the sport and just that diversity that to him, seeing people like Byron Davis and Jesse Vasayo and Anthony Nesty and things and people like that be successful in the sport really helped him in terms of role models and believing that he could do it within the sport. Did you have any role models like that or anything that you kind of overcame that way?
You know, I think that because we're so close in age, I just never really saw, and plus I was in the bubble of New Jersey. My focus was always the person next to me, and I think that actually helped me a lot. My true inspiration came from my dad being an athlete, and also Michael Jordan. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm sorry. Yeah, it hurts because we never win. But the one guy that I always looked up to was Jordan. And my dad hated the fact that I wanted to be a Bulls fan. He was like, you cannot be a Bulls fan in the 90s, which is really hard to do because they were winning everything. But the one thing he did say, even though Michael Jordan would always drop 55 points on the Knicks every single time, he would say, no matter what, that's what an athlete is. I think we've all seen the Gatorade commercial when he had 103 fever and still played and still put up 30-something points. And my dad said to me, I remember sitting on the couch with him, and he said, he is sick, and it doesn't matter. He is putting the team first. And so after he passed, I said to myself, it doesn't matter about what I get. I'm putting the team first, especially when I had a relay. So there were many times where I was sick and I had to tell myself, this is your Jordan moment. This is your Jordan moment. You have to do this. And if you're asking what I was thinking 2008 behind the blocks, it was, this is your Jordan moment. You have to do it. You don't even have 103 fever, but you got to show up. And every meet that was my mantra to myself is like, you have to show up for your team.
That's awesome. Actually, it leads perfectly into the next question I was going to ask.
Yep.
You talked a lot about kind of those pre-race jitters, and I know all of our swimmers experience them. That's part of the answer for sure. It's just that Jordan moment and stepping up to it. But how did you find that belief in yourself to truly step up? Every time I watched you at a big competition, you were in there. Whether you won or not wasn't the question, but you were in the competition and competing for sure. How did you get through kind of those jitters otherwise, or to build that belief in yourself at least?
I think a lot of it came from being the underdog. I never, when I did get the spotlight, I didn't care. I didn't want it. It was about what I had as goals. So when I made the Olympic team, I was a kid in a candy shop, but at the same time, I was so focused on my goals that in some part it stinks because I feel like I didn't live it the way I really wanted to, but I was so focused. That being said, I had a lot of haters. I know Jeff can say he had some people that didn't expect him to make it probably as well. And I had a lot of friends that say, oh, you're still doing that swimming thing? Why don't you play basketball or football or track? Why don't you do something that's a real sport, something that Black people do? And I'm like, no, I like this sport. I like what I'm doing. And I never let other people deter me. There was only one time that I allowed it to happen, and I started swimming like poop. I'll say that's a nice way of saying it. And it was because I started letting outside stuff get to me. And I know with every single person that's on here, you guys are on social media. Social media is the hardest thing to deal with because you can put up a picture and someone can say something bad and it'll ruin your day. You have to fight through that. You have to make sure that you motivate yourself. If you think you look good in that picture, put that picture up. No. And for me, that was my moment. I had people that were talking bad about me all the way up to the Olympics, saying stuff on message boards. He's not good enough. He can't do that. Da, 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 da. And I had to tell myself to stop looking at that stuff. But at the same time, I used it as fuel. When I went into the 2012 games, I wasn't swimming well. And my coach said to me, he's like, well, you've already got a world record. You got the gold medal. Just stop. Why keep going if you're not going to give this 100%? I wasn't going to practices the way I needed to. I wasn't dialed in 100%. And the one thing my coach does say is he says, when the lights are on, Cullen will show up because he hates to lose. That is true. But I needed to train. And what focused me for the 2012 games was the current 50 freestyler who won Cesar Cielo in 2008 in media said, it would take a natural disaster for me not to win the 50 free in the 2012 games. Remember what Michael was? When I saw Michael, it was like that disrespect. You think you're going to win? Well, yeah, he did that. And don't poke the bear. That's your fault. So I went back. I trained my face off. Everyone was paying attention to Nathan. Everyone was paying attention to Anthony, Tony, or I call him Tony, Anthony Irvin. Everyone was focused on them. And out of lane 1, no, you're not going to beat me. I took off again like it was a 50 freestyle. It hurt, let me tell you. But I got my hand on the wall, got second, and went in the 100 free. Again, in the 50 free, people weren't paying attention to me. They were paying attention to lane 4 and 5. In lane 2, I won the 50 freestyle. The biggest thing for me is I have to find it within myself to push myself beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can do this. And I've got to believe in myself. And for every single person on this call, it's about believing in yourself. You're going to have people that are going to be naysayers and say all of this stuff. The way that I was always clutch, I appreciate that. That was a nickname for me on the team. I hate to lose. And one of the things that is profound, and it still sticks in my head, I love Eddie Reese. The guys' team got together in 2012. He said, all right, so you guys made it on the plane, huh? All right, well, this is the team I've got. All right, well, I got to tell you something. There's something about each and every one of you. Not one of you I'm shocked about. And the reason why is that all of you made the team not because you like to win. It's because you hate to lose. And if I can tell you anything about card games with Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte, it's very true. We all hate to lose. And I think that that's the biggest thing for all of us. When it comes to being a part of Team USA, there's no loss. There's no way. There's no way you're getting silver. You go on for gold. If you get silver, it stinks. We go for gold. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. And I think it goes into, you were just talking about your training. One of the questions from our families, what was your mentality? It's 2 questions, actually. What was your mentality like at every practice? And were there any days that you felt like not going to some practice?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to make sprinters look bad. I'm not going to do that. I definitely, I loved lifting. I loved going fast. I hated 10-100s on 105. I hated it. I hated it. But here's the thing. I knew that there was no way that I would be able to stand on the blocks next to a Michael Phelps or a Ryan Lochte or a Caleb Dressel without going through those practices. I didn't necessarily like them, but I knew that I had to do them. I always pushed myself in practices. My coach would always say, Cullen, if you can get Cullen to practice, that's the hardest thing. And I think that's for a lot of people. And I'll call myself out. There were times that I missed practice and my coach would yell at me and I would say, I know, I'll make it up tomorrow. But the one thing that he always said was, as soon as I was there, it was showtime. I would put on a show in the middle of a practice and he would like get on the block in the middle of 10-100s and go, short course, go 47. And I'm like, huh? Taking mark, go, and I would go 47 because I love swimming that much. And what I did was, and I think for everyone on this call, the power of thinking that you are part of something bigger is what motivated me forward. So even though Michael was in Arizona and Ryan was in Florida and Nathan's in Cal Berkeley, every time that I was asked to do something above and beyond that I just felt like I couldn't do, I had to remember that my teammates were somewhere else doing the same thing. And the goal is always this. It's not to get silver. It's not to get anything else. We want to win. That is it. And I think that if you have that mentality, and it's easier for you guys because your teammates are next to you. Think about it. When your coach tells you, get on the block or do this or get faster, do this, do an extra sit-up, do an extra pull-up, do an extra. You're not doing it for you. Stop thinking about you. Stop being an only child for once, okay? Doing it for your teammates.
Awesome. Switching gears a little bit, and you shared a little bit meeting the NBA players, but what was it like to you personally meeting or getting to meet the people that you look up to and find out that they look up to you as well for what you're doing?
I mean, to this day, it's pretty surreal. It's very it was amazing to sit back and to I cried when Kobe died, because that was somebody that when I met him, I latched on immediately. And so I have had multiple conversations with that guy, and 2 years or year and a half before, I had just seen him and his daughter at our nationals, and was able to kind of just see both of them and talk to them, and being able to have that kind of rapport with your idols. I've met Jordan. He calls me the NC State swimmer because he went to UNC. And he refuses to call me Cullen, and it's one of those games that we go back and forth. And I was like, "Oh, you're the basketball player that can't swim, cool." And we just go back and forth about but to be able to have that rapport with these people, it's a testament to that little kid that was born in the inner city in a not nice neighborhood that just wanted to win and worked his face off to get there. To be able to meet these people, and for them to see me at the same level. I remember walking into a restaurant in Charlotte and had no idea. I had one of my friends there with me, and he was in town for Miami, and I was like, "Oh man, this place is great." Da, da, da. And it was one of the coolest moments, because I get a tap on the shoulder and I look up, and it's Jordan's security, and I know him. I'm friends with him. I was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He was like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, how's the food here? Have you had it?" He's like, "Yeah. Come on, come here. Someone's asking for you." I'm like, "What?" And I walk in the back room, and it's Jordan and Cam Newton sitting there, and they're like, "I saw you walk up. I saw you pull up in your car. Come on. And we spent, my friend, whose mind was literally just blown. We hung out with Jordan and Cam Newton that night. It's surreal. And it was such a cool experience that, I'm not going to say it's as good as the gold medal. It's not, but it is close.
Awesome. Hey, we're running low on questions here. Coaches, if you have anything to ask, you can ask for sure. We do have one more. Your story, you kind of talk about your confidence growing. When did you first think that you could be as good as you ended up?
So I became a student of the sport, I would say, when I was in high school. I had a coach that, and I'm not saying this was a good thing, this was not a good thing, was very specific. So when I was younger, I swam 4 IM. I swam the 2 free. I swam the 4 free, and hated every minute of it. But I did it. And I had a coach that was a sprint coach. And he was, when I shifted to the JCC, Ed Nessel, big time sprint coach. And I started training just sprints, and I started getting really, really fast at the 50 and 100, which was great because it was what got me into college. But the problem was that when I went to college, I didn't have the endurance to kind of do morning, do night practices. I was doing singles. I wasn't even doing doubles. I got to college, I'm starting to do doubles. I'm having meets where I'm having in an hour to swim 4 times. I just didn't have the endurance. So after my sophomore year, I went to trials. Did not do, I don't know why I expected in 2004 to make the team, but my coach just jazzed me up. I was like, "I'm going to do it." 24th. Yeah, I just, at that moment, it just took the wind right out of me. And then I was 20 years old. I was a junior in college when I said, "Enough's enough. I'm going to do this." And I went to a meet. And I represented Team USA. I finally represented Team USA. I went to World University Games, swam the 50 free. Last day, last event again, I get the gold medal, and I go a 22.2 in the 50 freestyle, which was also Gary Hall Jr.'s time at the time. And Dick Jokums came up to me and said, "Hey kid, you got something." You know, Jeff, you know that voice. "You can make the Olympic team." And I was like, "Huh? Me?" He's like, yeah, you can make the Olympic team." I was the first person that said it to me, that literally said, "You can make the Olympic team." When I went back to Raleigh, North Carolina, that year, going into my senior year, that's when I believed it could happen. And I was like, all right, I won ACCs, I won, in the 50 and the 100. Let's see what I can do this year. And I ended up winning the NCAA championship in the 50 free. And that's when that's when the Olympic dream honestly actually hit me, because I just didn't think that was for me. I was literally, every single meet was just win this meet. And I think that I try to tell swimmers that, especially young swimmers, especially because you have these, and you can, oh, you can't say it's black, but phones. You have these phones with all this information, and sometimes it can be overwhelming where you're looking at Caleb Dressel's time, and you're looking at all these other people's times, and you're like, oh my God, they're so fast. And you need to win that race that day that you're swimming at that moment. You don't have to think about what's going on a year from now. Win that race. And then when you have the next race, win that race. And I think that stop looking at things as a big cake. Think of it as slices. Take slices out of it and win the individual battles, so that when you get to that point where you are standing at the blocks next to, well, for you guys, it will be Caleb. But for me, it was Phelps. You'll be ready.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I love your story in terms of the belief you had in yourself to continue to improve. The overall big goal and those things came as you took those steps, but you always believed that you could be better. When you talk about winning each race and doing those things, I think that's awesome. One of our younger swimmers wants to ask, did you ever wear a paper suit again?
So paper suits at the time were the fastest suits. So yes, I did. The following year I wore it, and I wore it correctly, and it wasn't inside out and backwards. And I actually went a 20.5. So it just didn't happen when I wanted it to happen.
No,
So yes.
Still trusted it. Still trusted
Yes,
it.
I still trusted the tech. Yes. No,
Um, don't have any other questions from the group right now. Coaches, do you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I want to jump in. So as a sports fan, I've been watching all of the protests that are happening, started by the WNBA and now the NBA and even Major League Baseball and NHL. And I can't help but think about where as a sport with swimming, I think, and this is not so much about Rose Bowl, this is kind of pulling back and thinking of conversations that I've had at the USA swimming level, where I feel like we just kind of fold our hands and just say, well, you know, we aren't going to really change anything about our culture, but we want more people to show up. We want more diverse communities to show up. Why aren't they coming? And I just, in watching the protests that have been happening this summer, I just find myself like challenged by that, to really think about like what we can be doing better. So I'm wondering what you see, having been on national teams and really been involved with USA Swimming from the foundation level. Where are we doing well? Where is the sport doing well? And where do we need to be doing better to include more people?
And next, I will solve world hunger.
Yeah.
So yes, that's a hard one. But at the same time, it is something that I have systematically been trying to work on since I was able to get this with the Make a Splash initiative, trying to get more kids to learn how to swim. You know, when we started, it was 70%. Now it's 64% of African Americans. When we started, it was 60%. Now it's 54% of Latin Americans. When we started, it was 40%, and now it's 36% of Caucasians don't know how to swim. So we're seeing the trend move. I think it's partially, in large part, because of the popularity of the sport. We win at the Olympics. People want to watch that kind of stuff. So I just think that people are paying more attention to swimming, which is great. But to answer your question, right after what happened to George Floyd, the next day I walked outside of my house, and to get the full story, actually Men's Health actually just put me in their most recent magazine, and I told the whole story. But I was basically profiled outside of my house walking my dog at 10 o'clock, and it was because it's a really nice neighborhood, and because I'm Black. And at that moment, it hit me, because I have a 13-month-old child that's sitting outside in my house, and anything could have happened to me if I was angry or didn't answer the question correctly. And I had to disarm this police officer basically verbally. And if I didn't have those tools and I hadn't gone through things previously, something bad could have happened that day. And so for me, it was a catalyst. I put up a post about it. I've been working systematically at it. I started working with other Black swimmers. I got all of the Black swimmers together: Leah Neal, Simone Manuel, Reese Whitley, Sabir Muhammad, Byron Davis. And I started working with like just trying to get as many people as possible together. And we're still building out how we can start getting more and more education to USA Swimming. Right now, we're focused on national teamers, US national teamers, and we now talk to USA Swimming on a monthly basis about the things that we want to see different when it comes to diversity and inclusion. One of which, as you said and you hit on, is even just social media. Like, okay, we got 78 people on here, right? 78 of those kids that are here have social media and are looking or probably following USA Swimming. And I feel like they need to do a better job of showing the inclusion of our sport. Showing a picture of me or Simone or Leah is great, but it's not enough. We need more. We need more stories. We need more of Asian Americans and Indian Americans in every single race being shown in our sport. All lives matter. We know all lives matter. But the analogy that I said to them is if everyone has a house, all the houses matter. But the Black house is on fire right now. So right now we need to support that house. If we have a fire department, they're going to go to the house that's on fire. And that's the house that needs the help. And so we got USA Swimming to change what they put up initially, and they are now supporting Black Lives Matter. It took time, it took discussions, uncomfortable discussions, but we're pushing that needle. And so for me, when it happened to me, pushed me to want to push further. I am now back working with Speedo, and so we are doing what we can in Speedo as well. So to answer your question, I'm doing everything I can to try to push that needle to want to make this systematic change in our sport, because I do feel like I always mess up their name. I think it's Utel Sisters. They just put up times to make Olympic trials. Like that needs to be broadcasted everywhere. Like we need to get this type of information everywhere, and it's just not. So you could say I went off, but I'm holding USA Swimming accountable for what they're doing, and I need them to do better, because for all of these Black athletes that are feeling what's happening, and I have felt it firsthand, we score points. We need to feel support too. Our house is on fire. Help us. So.
I think just to follow up, I think far too often we put the onus on Black people to be their own advocates all the time, and we need to be better allies. And so I think you have a whole network of USA Swimming members and coaches. My cats have impeccable timing. Oh my goodness. Who want to support that at the grassroots level. And so I really thank you for answering the question, and we want to support as a team. So
absolutely. I'm trying to hit it from all levels that I can. Speedo, USA Swimming, me.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Tentacles everywhere. Let's make change.
Awesome. As a follow-up to that, one of our swimmers asked, do you have any advice for a Black swimmer?
Yes. Win the race. Stop looking at the pie. Win the race. Doesn't matter what people are saying to you. Win the race. You stick to your goals. What I did was two things. I had a solid goal and I had a glass goal. The glass goal, you can obviously see through. So when I got to a certain level, that solid goal was the world record. That glass goal was beating my time for that meet or whatever I set for that meet. But I always was looking through the glass of that world record. That's what I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit that. So I think in life, I tell swimmers to do this all the time. And as a Black swimmer, you might hear this. You'll hear this from Black people. You'll hear this from white people. It doesn't matter who you hear it from. Continue to stay the course of your goal. Don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone deter you from what you want to do. If that's what you want to do at your core, you have to live it. What I used to do, and I will tell this story really quickly, when Caesar said that he was going to win without, it had to be a natural disaster, I had to make my dream real. I'm not saying for you to do this, okay? You don't have to do this. This is what I did. I took pictures of him in 2008 when he won and he was doing this, and I put it all over my house. So I'm saying you don't have to do this. This is what worked for me. When I didn't want to go to practice, I had a picture of him over my bed. And I go, all right, I gotta go to practice. when I wanted to eat pizza and burgers, fries. God, I love fries, guys. I love fries. I had a picture of them out in my fridge. Fine, I'll have the salad. When I was almost out the door, I was like, ooh, I could go back and play Call of Duty or 2K. I look at the door. I guess I got to go to practice. The moral of the story is I made it real for myself. I lived my goal. Some of you guys write a goal down. I know your coaches probably tell you, put your goal down on a piece of paper. Okay, let me put down 21.95. Cool, all right. And you never see it again. So when you never see it again, it's gone. It's not in your mind. You're not living it. So this goes to all swimmers. If you have a goal, you have a phone that you look at 99% of your day. Change your background, get an app, put your times on it. Look at it every single day. Make sure that any goal, whatever it is, I want to get an A in a spelling bee. Cool. Write that down. But you have to live your goals. If you live your goals, I promise you, someone saying that your feet smell is not going to stop you from getting to your goals. Even though I tried that with Michael Phelps, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Well, it's 1:30 now. I want to be respectful of your time. We were supposed to end at 1:15. Colin, thank you so much for coming on this afternoon. It was amazing to hear your story and your words for the team. And I meant to say it throughout this time, but we are all very happy that you picked swimming over basketball. So I
thank you
for the sport of swimming, if everything else that you've done. So again, thank you for coming on and sharing everything. It was amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. Thank you guys. Enjoy your Saturday and your Labor Day weekend. I know I will, with a child screaming at me in my face. So it'll be fun. You guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope it didn't bore you, and enjoy again the weekend. We're going to be doing quite a bit of things with USA Swimming, so keep up with me on social media. And I hope when everything kind of settles down and we can find an answer to what's going on, I hope to come see you guys.
That'd be awesome. That would be wonderful.
Right.
We'd love to have you out. You're always invited.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's it. Rose Bowl swimmers and families, thank you for joining us today. A lot of good information for you. I hope you're all paying attention during that. But yeah, off to another season, and we just keep getting better. So
that's it.
Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.